Right. So without further ado, I'm really, really happy to introduce our second speaker today, who is Professor Shirley Reynolds. So Shirley is based at the University of Reading, where she's involved with the director of the Charlie Waller Institute and also Professor of Evidence-Based Psychological Therapies. So really happy to welcome Shirley today.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. I'm going to do exactly what Maria did and share some slides with you. So I hope I've got this technology sorted. It should come up just in a moment. Okay, is that no? Yeah, hang on. Right, okay, good. You should be able to see my name and email address at the moment. Yes, no? I can't hear anybody else, but I'm going to assume that that is good. Okay, so today I'm going to focus a little bit on ways of managing in the absence of social reward. Excuse me, I'm just going to check the slide, make sure it's working. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to talk about the power of rewards, especially social reward today, and how we manage to support young people and children when so many of their social rewards have been taken away from them. So reward is a hugely important aspect of everybody's life, and normally we have rewards from all sorts of different places in the world, and we don't even notice we're getting them. But rewards are really essential because they help us manage our mood, and they are essential for our well-being, and they affect just basically every part of our life. Adolescence and rewards are also particularly important because what we know from research from many years now is that adolescents are more sensitive to reward. They're kind of hyper attuned to reward, and they respond more positively to rewards when they occur. And in addition to that, the rewards that they're most engaged with and most attuned to are social rewards. So this is a period of life when our friendships and our peer relationships and everything we're doing with other people in our life takes on enormous importance and a central place in our well-being. So, okay, oh, can't seem to change the slide. Sorry. Okay, and we also think about well-being in the context of kind of broader issues to do with how we manage ourselves and our lives. So this slide, the pillars of well-being, shows the essential elements that we think of as being contributing towards feeling good, feeling positive, feeling like we have a place in the world. And these are things that in everyday life we probably don't think too much about, but they all play a very important role. Sleep, for example, having good, regular sleep, enough of it and enough quality of it is very important to how we manage the next day and our long-term mood. Obviously, our diet, our nutrition helps us manage our physical health, but also our mental health. And then activity, here I'm referring to physical activity, exercise, keeping fit, being well, moving our bodies around, and purpose. This is what are we here for? Why are we here? What's the point of it all? And this is really the element of these pillars I want to talk about mostly today. What you'll see about each of the pillars is then they're on this base of relationships, which, as we've said, are particularly important to adolescents, but are important to all of us all the way through our lives. So they've got the foundation of our well-being, really, and something that we are building on right from our infancy and right through our lives. Okay, so those are the pillars of well-being. I'm going to think about purpose here. Oh, sorry, the rewards one's come back in. Sorry about this. Just thinking about rewards then, we've talked about this already. Rewards give us a feel-good feeling. They come from lots of different places. Some of them are much less accessible now than they would have been before lockdown. So some things like sensory rewards we might still be able to access to some degree, perhaps a little bit less than before. Rewards from other people, much less available, possibly exercise is less available, and some sorts of intellectual rewards are going to be less available too because schools have closed down and we can't go and listen to live music and so on. So our reward availability is less than it was. And what happens when we get less reward? Well, when we get less reward, because reward is positive and boosts our mood, if we get less of it, we tend to feel less good. We feel low, we feel irritable, or we feel angry or annoyed. We can feel low in lots of different ways. When we feel low, what we tend to do is we do less. When we do less, we get less reward. So we're in this kind of vicious cycle. And somehow, because we've all been placed into an environment where we're getting less reward at the moment, we've been put into a cycle which could become vicious if we allow it to be, where we get less reward, we feel more low, we do less, and we get less reward. So what we're trying to achieve really now is, how can we get more reward when there's less availability of it? How can we help young people and children and ourselves get that feel-good factor when less reward is available? So what we focus on, and this is an adaptation from a treatment we offer for teenagers who are depressed, but I think it has a lot of relevance to all of us in terms of preventing low mood, making us feel good. What we want to do is, where we stop doing things that matter because we feel bad, we get less out of life, we want to reverse that cycle. And what we're aiming to do is to do more of what matters. Now, if we do more of what matters, even in the context where there's less reward available, that will help us feel better, maintain our mood, get more out of life, and we'll be able to do more of what matters. So we want to reverse that cycle of a negative cycle into a positive cycle. So to know what matters, we have to think about our purpose, what matters to you. Now, this is a hugely individual question. It's a very, very important question. It's relevant right the way through our lives. What matters to you, not what matters to your mum or your dad or your friends or your teachers, what matters to you. And it's really salient for teenagers, because this is the point in your life when you're trying to think about where you're going. Who am I? What is the point of it all? Where am I going with my life? And the picture on the right there is of my colleague Laura. Laura and I have done this work together, and she's now a lecturer at UEA, and I just wanted to kind of credit her because she's been a huge influence on this work. So this issue of what are your values, what is your purpose, what matters to you, is something that we can really build on when we're trying to work with anybody who's having problems with their mood or feeling that they're getting less reward out of life. Now, when we talk to teenagers about the sorts of things that matter to them, what you'll see is there's a huge range of different things. Some people will say to us, oh, well, values, they're too abstract. How will teenagers know what you're talking about? Actually, when we ask them, they know precisely what they mean, and they can talk very, very detailed ways about this and come up with a whole load of values and tell us exactly why they're important. So I'm not going to go through these in detail now, but what you will see is that they fall into three classes. So values about myself, values about things that matter, and values about people that matter. So things to do with me could be things like eating well, sleeping well, getting enough exercise, meditating, making time for myself. Things that matter could be my schoolwork, my exams, being organized, human rights, the big picture out there. And the people that matter, the relationships that we've already talked about, grandparents, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, family members, and so forth. So these are individual values. No one will have the same values as everybody else, but you do tend to have similar values to your friends and your family. So here's an example from somebody we've worked with called Tim, and these are some of his values, which we've helped him identify into things for himself, hobbies and fun and physical health, things to do around work and the everyday things, and things to do with family, friends, other people. So just to show how we would help him break that down, let's take this one, becoming more active. Now, Tim is a boy of 15 who at the time had depression. And what you have to try and do, I think, when people are already low, is to try and break things down into very manageable chunks. So here for Tim, he wants to become more active. So we will help him break that down into very, very simple tasks that he can do, possibly with help, possibly without help, but are manageable for him in his life. Obviously, we're all now living in a very different environment, and we have to think about our valued activities in slightly different ways. So we're not going to be able to go out and join a sports team or go to the library or go and listen to live music. And this really is where what Maria was talking about, looking at what's available on the internet, online, is what is going to replace, for most of our young people, many, many valued activities. I thought it might be helpful to say, well, how can parents help? This might also be teachers, friends, grandparents. One way in which parents can help is to actually be a good role model. Are you yourself getting enough reward? Are you able to show your family how to get through this period of life by getting reward from a whole range of different places. You need to look after yourself as well as your family and other people. And this same pillars of well-being apply here: exercise, sleep, diet, work, love, purpose, activity. They're all just as important for grown-ups as they are for young people. When we talk about needing more reward, parents are a very important source of reward, and teachers and other people in the neighbourhood and friends. So giving rewards is very important. I'm not talking here about monetary rewards. I'm talking about interest, attention, shared activities and projects, praise. Your attention is probably the most valuable reward you'll often be able to give. And that's true even if your young person is not necessarily showing you a great deal of reward in response. You may be able to provide practical support, access to resources, materials, and so forth. But you need to be waiting behind to give young people space and opportunity to make their own mistakes, to learn, to move on. It's very important, this period of autonomy for young people. And whilst they're stuck at home, lots and lots of development opportunities for being autonomous, being independent have been taken away from them. So we need to try and manage that in their lives. And we also have to show people that we have to accept what we can't change. We are all learning to be different now. We're all struggling with this. And you, your family, young people, everybody you've met and you know is having the same situation. In some ways, this makes social isolation in this context very different from how it would normally be. Just to finish off, I just wanted to point parents, teachers, anybody else who works with children or young people in any capacity whatsoever to this amazing resource which is available online called MindEd. And there's information there for parents, professionals, young people themselves, 24/7. Please do go and check it out if you've any interest in following this up further.
Thank you very much for joining us for this recording from one of our Emerging Minds webinars focused on how we can best support children and young people during this time of COVID-19 and what research can offer us. We are planning a range of webinars and you can find details of those on our website. And please do also get in touch to let us know what subjects are on your mind and what you'd like to focus on next. So a quick word about Emerging Minds. We're a research network funded by UK Research and Innovation, and members come from all sorts of disciplines and sectors, but we're all working towards reducing the prevalence of mental health problems experienced by children and young people. We really invite you to get involved, so please do sign up to keep in touch with our newsletter via our website, or keep in touch on social media, for example, Twitter. We also wanted to talk to you about a survey we are running at the moment called CoSpace. So we want to learn how families are coping with the challenges of COVID-19. So if you're a parent or a carer of a child in the school years from 0, so reception and foundation, to 11 in the UK, please do consider taking part. And your responses will really help us to find out how children, young people and their families are getting on, what's working for them, and how we can best help. Please do also spread the word to your networks and colleagues too. You can see there some of the findings that we've shared so far from the study, and on our website you can find resources particularly for parents and carers and people that work with children and young people, like the one here on the screen about supporting children and young people with their worries. Thanks again for listening, and we hope to keep in touch with you. All the best.